Thank you very much for joining us. Let's settle for the details now. The Electoral Commission says it has begun implementing the directive of the court to ensure that Ghanaians living abroad have the opportunity to vote in our parliamentary and presidential elections. The representation of the People's Amendment Act, passed 12 years ago, is yet to be implemented. This sparked a number of court actions. An Accra High Court on May 8, 2019 granted a request by the Electoral Commission for an extension of the deadline to implement the law. In an interview with Mama V. Usabuaji on the AM show, Deputy Commissioner in charge of Corporate Services, Dr. Eric Bosman-Asare, said the CI is already in Parliament to kickstart the process. Now, according to him, barring any hitches, Ghanaians living abroad should be able to vote come December 7.
People must understand that the Electoral Commission is saying that the card you bring must bear your picture. The card you bring. So, Mama, when you are coming to register, we want a card that bears your picture. So we look at the picture. So a photo identification. So that's why we use all cards we have been using. Sometimes when we use the National Health Insurance, your picture embedded. The voter ID, your picture embedded. So once it doesn't have, but you know, it doesn't mean your birth cert is not relevant. When it comes to the District Registration Review Committee and people are checking ages, etc. But this country, we shouldn't be kidding ourselves. We know people are 80 years, they have birth certificates indicating they are 70, etc. But that doesn't suggest that there is a card which is perfect. But this election, what the Commission is saying is that when we use the passport and the Ghana card, we think we are getting something which is more authentic and something which will help us to ensure the register is credible and is made up of those who are really qualified.
Here's another one. It says, Mamavi, good morning. Please ask Dr. Bosman if the option of voter transfers will be done in 2020.
Yes, it's something that came up yesterday, and we assured the special budget committee members that we are going to do it. I think one of our officers was making the point that in the current CI, but it's not the current CI on elections that we are going to use. We are going to have a new one in Parliament to amend certain aspects. So certainly we are going to have voter transfer and voting by proxy. So
you're not done with presenting instruments to Parliament?
No, you know, there are several instruments guiding. The one has to do, what has just matured is the one on the registration and perhaps the exhibition. The new one will be on the elections itself. So that's it. And the current one is the CI 94, which will send a new one to Parliament. It will go through the process, AG's department, pre-laying at Parliament. Then when it matures, that one will take precedence over the one we have now.
All right, here's another one. Can I register by proxy if I'm currently trapped outside the country due to COVID-19? Fred, stuck in Birmingham, UK.
Well, currently, we don't have that in our laws. We don't have that in our laws. And the CI, which has just matured, we didn't anticipate that we are going to get to a point where some people will be stuck. But we are hoping that...
but to be fair, because this CI, you kept changing. And it was presented within this COVID era. So you should have realized that people would be outside the country and would not be able to make it.
No, we couldn't have anticipated at the time. And if even we had anticipated, the law, the registration, the CL registration basically specified that you must appear in person. And you know, to do something in others' jurisdiction will require some clearances. You need to engage the authorities, and I think that will maybe also fall under ROPA, because you need you can't just say, I'm going to Nigeria to register Ghanaians. You can't just say, you need to have some clearance passages being allowed by the authorities of other countries. So, but we are anticipating that by the time the process will take off or come to an end, Ghanaians abroad. And I think we are picking information that, so I think yesterday...
Well, that's those who can afford to pay the amounts that has been stated. So I don't think that every Ghanaian outside is somebody who originally lives in Ghana will be able to come if they are not able to afford.
I think it's something which is very important, but the point is that under the current law, we are not empowered to do that.
So if you live in Ghana and you went to visit and you're trapped outside, you're not able to return, and you miss the registration exercise, then that's it.
That's it. But what we are saying is that because the mop-up, we are not finishing in June. We are only beginning in June. And it will go, the exercise will take place the end of...
But it's for 30 days?
No, it's for 38 days.
Okay.
And so I'm hoping that by the time, maybe July, who knows what is up there.
But my point is within the 38 days, you're not able to return, then that's it.
That's it.
Now, the National Identification Authority says its program of distribution of the national ID cards has been ongoing according to plans so far. Officials are currently meeting journalists in Accra, and let's join the feed for that interaction.
Plans we have for the future. Shall we welcome warmly the Secretary of NIA, Professor Kenneth Ajimai Atefa, please.
Maybe I can help with. I don't know how we obstructing the camera.
Yeah.
Let's do it this way.
Yes. Okay. Okay. All right. Distinguished friends from the media, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the Minister responsible for the National Identification System Project, the Honorable Dr. Anthony Akotose, MP, the Chairman of the National Identification Authority Governing Board, Mr. Ibel Eduse, and the entire membership of the Governing Board, and on behalf of the management and staff of the National Identification Authority, I welcome you warmly to this morning's media briefing. We are assisted by our technical partners, the Identity Management Systems Limited, a subsidiary of the Margins Group of companies. Ladies and gentlemen from the media, we've invited you here this morning to update you on the ongoing Ghana card issuance exercise and the impending nationwide mop-up registration exercise. The briefing session would also provide opportunity to respond to some of the issues that have emerged regarding the activities of the NIA as may be necessary and appropriate. Ladies and gentlemen, the last time we met the media in this conference room was on the 25th of April 2019, and it was to announce the commencement of the nationwide mass registration exercise. 4 days later, on the 29th of April 2019, we started the mass registration exercise in the Greater Accra region. Since then, the NIA has conducted mass registration exercises in all 16 regions of the country, except in the eastern region where the exercise was not completed but was truncated on the 21st of March 2020 due to the COVID-19 pandemic. At the time the exercise was truncated, the NIA had registered a total of 11,063,259 eligible Ghanaians. To date, NIA has printed 11,034,174 cards. 11,034,174 cards, and issued out of the total 9,050,346 cards. 9,050,346 cards to qualified Ghanaians. The current card issuance blitz, which started on the 10th of June 2020 at 5,635 registration centers across the country, is continuing till tomorrow, Thursday, 18th June 2020, and may be extended as necessary to ensure that all Ghanaians whose cards are printed are able to receive them. Out of a total of 3,934,073 cards that were planned to be issued, During the special card issuance blitz, NIA has issued a total of 1,950,245 cards to Ghanaians since the start of the exercise. We entreat all Ghanaians who are yet to collect their cards to endeavor to do so at the registration centers where they registered. Ladies and gentlemen, I pointed out earlier the truncation of the registration exercise in the Eastern region, which requires that we go back to complete what we started. The exercise in the Eastern region will therefore take off from the Thursday, the 18th of June, that is tomorrow, to Saturday, the 27th of June, 2020. The registration centers will be open from 7 a.m. till 5 p.m. each day, excluding statutory public holidays. Registration centers will be set up in 33 districts of the region. I have a long list of the regions, of the districts, but I think I can skip that. When we had a mass registration exercise in the Eastern region, that long list was provided. If anyone is interested, I can furnish you the districts in the Eastern region where we'll operate registration centers. I need to emphasize that this registration exercise is open only to Ghanaians aged 15 years and above and who are resident in the districts in the Eastern region. The registration is free of charge, and all an applicant needs to do is to turn up at any of the registration centers equipped with a genuine birth certificate or a valid passport or a valid certificate of acquired citizenship. And of course, the prospective applicant must also carry the Ghana Post Digital Address Code of the person's residence, not office, without which detail the applicant will not be permitted to register. If a prospective applicant does not have any of these mandatory documents, a relative who has been issued with a Ghana card can vouch for that person under oath. Alternatively, 2 members of the community who have been issued with a Ghana card and fall in the category that I'm about to list can vouch for that prospective applicant under oath. 1, a practicing or retired professional teacher, including principals, headmasters and head teachers and headmistresses. 2, a gazetted chief. 3, a serving or retired magistrate or judge. 4, a licensed professional, including a medical doctor, a nurse, a lawyer, an accountant, an engineer, a pharmacist, a journalist, an architect, and any person belonging to a professional group which is regulated by law and or supervised by a statutory regulatory body. 5, a serving or retired civil servant. 6, a serving or retired public servant, and that includes the serving or retired civil servant includes the person all the way from the janitor or manager or messenger to the chief director of the ministry. And a serving public servant includes comes all the way from the driver or messenger all the way to the CEO of the public authority or public body. A 7, a serving or retired clergyman. 8, an imam. 9, a serving or retired caskis. 10, a serving or retired member of the security services, including the Ghana Police Service, the Ghana Armed Forces, the Ghana Prison Service, the Ghana Immigration Service, the Ghana National Fire Service, the Bureau of National Investigations, the Customs, Excise and Preventive Service of the Ghana Revenue Authority, and National Security. A current Number 10, a current or past member of parliament. 11, a current or past assemblyman. I understand there are no assemblymen at the moment, but past assembly men and women. And 12, a current or past member of a unit committee. An applicant is also required to present to the registration official any state-issued identity documents or ID cards that they may have, such as a driver's license, a voter ID card, a national health insurance card, the Social Security and National Insurance Trust biometric card, a passport, and tax identification number. These documents that I have just mentioned are not mandatory documents which establish eligibility to register for the Ghana card. However, to ensure data harmonization and integration with the data silos of other state institutions, the NIA will scan and keep electronic copies of these documents and return the originals to the applicants. It is important to note that presenting false documents and or information for registration is an offense punishable by law. Falsely vouching for someone who is not a Ghanaian or a person you do not know to be a Ghanaian is also an offense punishable by law. A person you do not know at all in that sense. Ladies and gentlemen, the same processes and requirements will apply to the mop-up exercise which we are about to embark upon. The following schedule has been drawn up for nationwide mop-up exercise. Again, ladies and gentlemen, we have published this in a press release just 2 days ago, so we can make a copy of the schedule available to you, but it begins tomorrow with, and so I won't go through the whole thing, but just to indicate the immediate. It begins tomorrow with the concurrent registration, mass registration in Upper East and Upper West. That is beginning on the 18th of June and ending on the 3rd of July. And this will be happening concurrently with the continuation of the mass registration exercise in the Eastern region, which is also starting tomorrow. The plan is to move to the northern, to the northeast, Savannah, Central, Western, Western North, Volta, Oti, Ashanti, Greater Accra, Bono East, and Ahafo. In clusters, not necessarily singly, but
That's the Chief Executive of the National Identification Authority, Professor Kenatefa, bringing us some more detail at that news conference, that interaction with the media as they begin the mop-up exercise tomorrow, starting with the Eastern region. And of course, we'll bring you details of that in our subsequent bulletins. But so far, over 9,005,000 cards have been distributed or issued to Ghanaians, I should say. And of course, you know that you're supposed to present your passport, your birth certificate, and other documents to indeed prove your nationality and identity, including other documents which necessarily do not prove your nationality, but also add to the checks by the NIA to ensure that the people who are registering and receiving the cards indeed deserve to do so. Right now, I want to take you to Kumasi because there's a news conference being held by the Regional Health Directorate. Dr. Emmanuel Tinkran is leading that news conference, and he is speaking to issues as far as health workers are concerned. He's addressing concerns that some health workers may have been infected in the line of duty whilst treating COVID-19 patients. Let's go live.
It's truly COVID. That's the reason why national usually takes a lot of time, because once they put it on the platform, national platform, it ends there. Ours is more like a provisional. So that is what we need to understand, so that it doesn't create confusion between Ashanti region and the national. I'm saying this because we've had a number of calls. People wanted us to explain why our deaths is quite different from that of national. And that's the reason why we are having these differences. So that's that. Then the next issue is that almost all the treatment centers are now full. Kofanoche has 18 beds. The 18 beds are now full. Kumasi have 20 beds. So as at now, we have a total of 38 beds. All the 38 beds are now full. So what we've decided to do is that we need to expand the number of the beds that we have for the treatment centers. So we've decided that we are going to expand Kumasi South from existing 20 beds to 41 beds. As at now, we've been given another ward. Work is rapidly ongoing to make sure that we expand it. We've also secured 7 beds at Sontreso Hospital to support our treatment facilities. And we are also negotiating with one of our senior doctors who has decided to give us his hospital to be used as a treatment center. When that one is finally done, we hope that we can add about 100 beds to the treatment centers that we have to make sure that it will be up to about 38 beds. Because the numbers that we have here and the number of cases that we are getting, it said that we cannot contain it. The challenge we have here is the way cases are referred to our major treatment center, Konfanoche. Most of the cases are being kept in various hospitals, and when the situation gets worse, then they say go to Konfanoche. And by the time you get to Konfanoche, less than 24 hours, then you are gone. I don't think that is good enough. We need to build the capacity of our peripheral facilities also to support the process. We'll have to build the capacity of the nurses there to identify the cases. The challenge we have with COVID deaths that we've analyzed here is that most of the deaths do not come with the classical signs and symptoms that we know. The cough, difficulty in breathing, and other things sometimes are absent. All that we get is a malaria-like symptoms. So people assume that it's malaria. By the time we get to know that it's COVID, then a lot of health workers have been exposed. And because of that, most of them are now doing self-isolation. So there's a need also at the national level to review the signs and symptoms and then share it with the private facilities so that we do not focus only on certain signs and symptoms like cough, difficulty in breathing, and then it's COVID. Because in the Ashanti region, we are seeing quite different picture. It's fever and general malaise. By the time you have difficulty in breathing, then you're almost gone. So it's another work that I think we will need to do here. The number of isolation centers will also have to be increased because we are having increasing number of cases. As at now, we have a total of 207 bed isolation centers. Yesterday, we were fortunate we discharged most of them. Other than that, we're also going to have the same challenge like that we have for the isolation, the treatment centers. So that means that we have to get more isolation centers. Already we have spoken to Ghana Registered Nurses Association, so they've given us their hostels to be used as an isolation center. So in addition to the TUC, the Edriso one, we are also going to have another isolation center, and I believe that that will also help. But the bottom line with Ashanti region is that we need to adhere by the protocols and then the guidelines as has been prescribed by the president. Going around the region and especially working in Kumasi, sometimes you feel so disheartened because people don't want to adhere to the protocols and then the guidelines. Now we don't see the Veronica buckets anywhere. The social distancing protocol, nobody is observing it. You tell people to wear face masks and they are insulting you. With this, we can't fight COVID-19. People get conditioned, we want to support them, they fight with us. How can we fight COVID-19 in this situation? The ball starts with you. The president has instructed that we enforce it. This morning, I went around looking whether people will adhere to what the president said. Some of them, they've disregarded what the president said. They are still walking around without their face mask. They are not observing the social distancing. So what do you want us to do? Ask people. That is not the way to go. Because right now, you know, we've lost a doctor, a hard-working doctor. And if it's to continue this way, what will happen? We are going to lose more. So my only appeal to people in Ashanti region is that let us obey instructions. Let us adhere by the laid down protocols and then the guidelines. Because with the ease of restrictions, it's likely that we may have cases going up. The facilities that we have in Ashanti region, as far as case management is concerned, is nothing to write home about. Accra may have UGMC, they may have Kolebu, they may have 37 military hospital, they may have police hospital. Ashanti, apart from Kofanoti Teaching Hospital, we don't have any facility that we can say can manage severe and critically ill. And that means that if we continue in this direction, we will see high mortalities. So what we need to do as a region is to make sure that we adhere by the public health principles. Other than that, we will have a lot of challenges. So the media, what you can do to help us is that let us try and then talk to people who don't want to obey any law in this country. I believe that it's time that we deal with them. We need to enforce the wearing of the face mask. And I believe we have the support of our regional minister. Even he started. And then some civil rights organizations and other things came in and said it's against the law. Nothing is against the law more than your life. We will not continue to live in this situation in Ashanti. And yesterday, talking to the regional minister, whether you like it or not, we will have to enforce it.
So that's the Ashanti Regional Health Director, Dr. Emmanuel Tinkran, ending on that note on enforcement in the wearing of face masks. Here in Accra, our checks show that many people are not wearing face masks in town. We'll be checking across the regions to see how they are actually enforcing this directive announced by the president. Let's take you from the Ashanti region. Let's go to the Volta region now and speak to the regional minister, Dr. Archibald Letcher, issuing a stern warning on the enforcement. Doc, thank you very much for your time here on News Desk. The president did announce that the face mask is mandatory and that it should be enforced. I'm wondering how you're doing that in the Volta region, seeing that we do not have the executive instrument to back that. Well, we seem not to have Dr. Archibald Letcher on the line. We're working the lines to get him to find out how the region is implementing the directive for the wearing of face masks. Once we have him, we'll bring that to you. Right now, we're taking a break. When we return, we'll bring you that interview and more here on News Desk. Stay with us. Thanks for staying with us here on News Desk, and we'll bring you more stories on COVID-19, especially on the wearing of face masks in the regions. Now, apart from Accra and Kumasi, we have the Volta Regional Minister, Dr. Archibald Letcher, issuing a stern warning to people who are not wearing the face masks that they would have the law to face. Let's go live to Ho now and speak with him. Dr. Letcher, thank you very much for your time here on News Desk.
Morning.
Good to have you, sir. First of all, tell us what the situation is like in the region as far as the wearing of face masks is concerned.
Thank you very much. We met on the 28th of May, the Regional Security Council, and we issued a press release instructing our MDDAs to try and enforce the wearing of face masks by ensuring that the notices are put in the markets and in all the offices that no mask, no entry. Okay. But I must admit that the compliance was not too good. So the president's address on Sunday came at the right time. And since Monday, I've noticed some improvement. But still, we have task forces in all the 18 assemblies, and there is some enforcement that is going on. Whole municipal assembly passed a bylaw that anybody not wearing a face mask will be made to pay a sport fine of not less than 20 Ghana cedis. But we have a task force made up of NADMO, police, military, that is trying to enforce the wearing of face masks, because it's not about, it's about our own protection and protection of our families and communities. But for the offices, and nobody goes to any of our offices without face masks. But the issue is with the markets and the transport sector, and that is where the enforcement is ongoing.
And so I see that you have instructed the assemblies to enact bylaws. Why is that? Is it because we do not have an EI as we speak to back that directive by the president?
Well, that's thank you. That instruction was before the president's address to the nation last Sunday.
Okay.
I believe that there'll be a stronger legal backing, but for now, we in the interim from 1st of June, we asked the assemblies to pass bylaws to back the enforcement.
And you talk about the task force. Is it made up of security agencies, or these are men and women drawn from the assembly?
We have security personnel, health officials, NADMO officers, and workers of the district assemblies.
Okay, okay. Thank you very much.
In addition to that,
just finish up that for us.
No, in addition to that, we also try to provide face masks.
Okay.
The assemblies are providing face masks. We've received donations from Coastal Development Authority, and the whole Technical University donated face masks. And we are receiving face masks on a daily basis, which we're also making available to those who cannot afford to buy them.
Okay. Dr. Archibald Lecture, thank you very much for your time here on News Desk. That's the Volta Regional Minister speaking to us today on the enforcement of face masks in the region. Now, there appears to be hope on the horizon for people living with COVID-19. Researchers in the UK have made sure that the drug they're using to reduce the death mortality in the area, Dexamethasone, is being used for the treatment of COVID-19 in those areas. Let's speak to Lucia Adai, who is the Executive Secretary of the Pharmaceutical Manufacturers Association of Ghana. Thank you very much, Madam, for your time here on News Desk. So we know this is a steroid. We understand that we already have it as part of treatment for COVID-19. Is that the case? I think that you have to unmute your audio there so we can hear you, Madam Adai.
Okay, thank you again for the platform.
Great, we can hear you now.
And good morning to your cherished viewers. So yes, dexamethasone is a steroid. It is used usually in the management of some inflammation and allergies, and it is very key in the management of things that are lung related. It's already part of protocol of the STG that is used in the management of COVID, and it is available in the country. Local manufacturers that I represent actually manufacture some of these medications. So it is available, and once it is written for you in prescription, you should be rest assured that you should be able to receive this medicine. Okay, so from what I understand, it's a prescription drug and not necessarily over-the-counter something that you can get. Yes, it's a prescription medication because even though it's a very pharmaceutical drug that does all types of things supposed to do with inflammation in COVID, know that it has side effects. So the side effects and all the things that it has, like nausea, vomiting, and all the GI side effects. It also has very severe side effects. It can also have effects on your eyes. So based on these side effects and also on analyzing it, it's important that you have a prescription before you can actually have this medicine. And
just because of the situation we are in right now, the UK is already stockpiling over 200,000 of that medication. Here in Ghana, do we have enough in the system, and are the pharmaceutical companies in the position to manufacture enough? Should we have very severe cases that will need the use of this drug?
Yes, so I can assure everybody that the pharmaceutical manufacturers actually have this medication in good quantities. Okay. And in the event that it is written as a prescription, we would be able to supply the prescription. So people should not panic and rush out to go and buy these medicines. You should wait, have a prescription, and then you can have the medicine.
Thank you very much, Madam Lucia Adai. She's the Executive Secretary of the Pharmaceutical Manufacturers Association of Ghana, bringing us some more understanding on the issue of dexamethasone, which the UK is using to reduce the death toll, especially for COVID-19 patients who are severely ill or in critical condition. Now, JoyNews agenda this week is on worsening condition of roads in the country as the rain set in. In today's episode, JoyNews editor Fred Smith takes us to his community, Mile 7, where many potholes on the roads there is causing residents to develop health problems as well as high vehicle maintenance costs.
Welcome to Mile 7, a community in the North municipality of the Greater Accra region. This community is full of life, a community where talent abounds, producing many national icons. But it is also a community in which many small businesses are thriving. This requires movement of vehicles.
For 6 years, this is where I have called home. A fun community, many loving people, and one of the best sceneries you can find anywhere in the world. But like many other communities, it is also bedeviled with problems, with bad roads topping the list.
Well, some of the roads in this community are not that bad, but with potholes like you can see here, it becomes very difficult to think that there are some good roads at all.
Plying through the roads at Mile 7 is a daily struggle, as some residents say the bump and grind leave them with high vehicle maintenance costs and health problems.
I've had my vehicle break down here twice, in this very pothole. Our leaders don't fear God, and therefore don't have their people at heart. I won't even vote anymore. This road was constructed about 3 months ago, and already you can see the extent of damage. Successive governments have failed to ensure that contractors are doing quality work. We end up spending all our income on spare parts.
We experience flooding anytime it rains. Sometimes the flood waters enter our shops. Something must be done about it.
The road is no good, so the government can't make the good road. Oh, let my spinal cord, my backbone, or the pain. Let the shocks and some things they spoil for the motor and body. So I'll make the can do and give us.
The road is not good. The drain is too small, and this results in spillage each time it rains. The government should come to our aid.
Several of such depressions on Mile 7 roads mean motorists have to always drive with extreme care, unsure of where the next pothole is, something that puts other road users at risk of being knocked down. At the Kingsby roundabout, some residents volunteered to fill the potholes after realizing they were too deep. But that is still not enough to give anyone a comfortable ride. Municipal Chief Executive Gertrude Ankra says some of the roads have already been awarded on contract and will be fixed soon. But with residents raising concern about the quality of roads being constructed, their pain of driving on such bumpy roads is unlikely to end anytime soon. Fred Smith, Mile 7.
And we may be coming to your community next on JoyNews Agenda. We're taking a break for business. When we return, pharmaceutical manufacturing companies are threatening to withdraw their supplies from stores funded by the National Health Insurance Authority as debt mounts. Darryl will bring you details.
In other news, General Secretary of the Industrial and Commercial Workers Union, Solomon Kote, has appealed to government to ease border restrictions, acknowledging the closure of the border is critical to curbing the spread of COVID-19. Mr. Kote also pointed out businesses are being impacted as a result of the closure.
Look at the global trend. The COVID-19 has come to stay. And for how long will we continue to be hiding from the fact that this thing has come to stay? With the presidency and then the experts who are monitoring whether we are going to have an escalation point. Now the numbers have gone over 10,000. What will really be its immediate effect on us as an economy, and then also for the fact that our brothers and sisters in the UK, in Libya, or the rest are all coming in, whether they are not bringing the import of the COVID-19 to see what can happen to us, but taking cue from what other nations are doing. Some internally in Nigeria, for example, internal flights have started moving. It is our prayer that before we hear from the president on the 31st of July, we will see the easing of the restrictions, and that could give us the hope. That notwithstanding, reading on the globe, others have said that they are looking at somewhere October, September, October, November, where things may return to normalcy and then we begin to run. But then the observation of the WHO protocols have come to stay.
And that's your business update for now. The news continues after this break.